it's Olivia and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing the writing process tag. It is currently PREPTOBER in preparation for Nanowrimo, so I thought it would be perfect to do this tag and talk a little bit about my writing process. So the first question is, what genres do you write? I write contemporary, fantasy, and science fiction. The next question is, what setting gets you the most productive? I am the type of person who gets really creative at night. I have some of my best ideas when I'm about to go to bed, which really is unfortunate because I value my sleep a lot. In terms of places that get me productive, I would say just sitting at my desk and when it's cool, somewhere comfortable, like in a chair with my desk. On the couch is a good place, sometimes in bed. Just somewhere that's nice and comfortable gets me really productive. Sometimes going to like a cafe or like the library gets me really productive because it's just a nice setting and there's other people working, so it also makes me feel like I could be productive. If you have multiple story ideas, how do you choose which one to start with? I have the problem where I have a lot of works in progress. I have a lot of ideas, a lot of stories that I want to pick up again, but have to get through other stories first. Really, it's what just inspires me in that moment. Working on multiple projects, I think, is actually helpful in terms of being creative, because if I focus too much on one thing, then I tend to kind of lose that creativity, and then jumping to a new project actually helps me kind of think about my other project in a different way. But ultimately, I just pick the one that has like the most substance there. Like right now, I'm currently working on a novel that I have been working on for about 2 years now, and it hasn't necessarily gone in the direction that I wanted it to, but I have so many ideas for it, and I really want to get a draft done, and I feel like this is the year that that's gonna happen. So which one do I choose to start with? I just kind of write wherever my inspiration takes me, and then I always come back to the same project. The next question is, do you outline? Yes and no. Like I said in my AuthorTube newbie tag, I am a plantster. I half plan, half pants my way through writing, and I don't necessarily have like a legitimate outline. I also don't necessarily like the idea of confining myself to an outline. I feel like it's too structured for my type of writing. I kind of just write and go with it. I guess in a loose outline, I would say, hey, I want so and so to happen, and then I want this to happen, and it's just more of a timeline of events rather than an outline, because I feel like it restricts me too much to stick to an outline. I feel like it's better to give myself space and a little more freedom in terms of planning what I'm gonna write. Do you start your first draft with pen and paper, on a laptop, or on a typewriter? I typically start writing on my laptop. I do have like handwritten notes here and there. I always scribble in the margins of my notebooks when I'm in class and inspiration hits. That's happened to me so many times. So I would say like story ideas always start off on paper, and an actual draft typically happens on my computer, but when I'm writing, I like to actually scribble in a notebook sometimes because it takes away the editor inside my brain that wants to just go back and keep hitting backspace because it's so easy. When I'm writing in a notebook, it's different. I don't like scribbling things, and I don't want to waste time erasing things. It's just kind of more focused on writing rather than thinking about writing, if that makes sense. What do you do to get through writer's block? Oh my gosh. I kind of just wait it out. I haven't really tried any kind of method to get out of writer's block. I typically just write. I mean, when I get stuck, I kind of move on. Writer's block is different for everyone. For me, it's just I run out of ideas, or I get so frustrated with where the story is, I just kind of abandon that like scene that I'm writing and go to a completely different scene, because maybe I'm stuck on this sentence, maybe I'm stuck on this like dialogue, and it just helps to kind of just go forward and move on. Like, forget this scene, what happens afterwards, and then kind of fill in the middle. That's kind of how I write in general, is that I have these plot points and then I have to find a way to make them connect. Like I said before, I think just jumping to a completely different project would help a lot too, because it just gets your creative flow going when it's not working for a different project. For me, writer's block is project based and not like a general feeling. I always want to write. Another way of getting through writer's block is just getting your mind off of what you're working on. So even if that's like another project, that will definitely help you write, or just watching some TV and kind of just having some kind of mindless activity helps a lot. Do you format your project at the beginning or worry about that later? I'm not really sure what format means in this question, but I think that means chapters and things like that. I worry about that later. I don't think about things too much in a structure, like I said, because I feel like it's restrictive. Is there anything in particular that helps you get through writing? I like it when it's quiet, so then I can like think clearly and just hear my own thoughts most of the time. I can't write when I'm watching TV because I pay too much attention to what's going on the screen. Sometimes I play music and I can only play music that I already know, because if it's something new then my brain starts like attaching onto this new song. More often than not, when I'm in the zone of writing, I completely forget about the music. Like my brain is so focused on writing that the music just kind of is there, and then I would like tune back in and be like, wow, I didn't know it was this song that was playing, or how many songs has it been, you know? And being in the zone when you're writing is just one of my favorite things, because time just passes by and it was just nice, and it's kind of calming to kind of sit there and just be so focused and invested and passionate about your work that you forget about your surroundings. And do you schedule your writing sessions? Yes and no. Like I said, sometimes I just really have the urge to write and then I will act upon it. Other times I don't because I need to sleep. But especially when I'm doing Nanowrimo in particular, I plan when I'm gonna write because I'm very busy. So I would like schedule out a chunk of time to write. I remember, I think it was the year before that, I wrote a lot because I would just write for about an hour before I went to bed. That's basically how I got to 50,000 words when I did Nanowrimo. Other times it would be like a whole day. I'm like, I'm dedicating this day to writing and nothing else. Just this day is gonna be about writing. I'm not gonna think about work. I'm not gonna think about homework. I'm not gonna think about class, you know, like I'm just gonna focus on writing. And I feel like those are my most productive days in terms of writing because it's just dedicated to it. Do you have a word count or chapter goal for when you're writing? For Nanowrimo, I do have a word goal. I am trying to make it to 50,000 words, and if I write every day, it's about 1,600 words a day. So I typically try to hit that word count and then move on. But I try not to focus too much on that because there are days where I don't write and then I have to catch up, and then it feels kind of like this pressure to write more. But I typically write until I am just at a place where I feel like I can stop. Like I said, I don't write in chapters. So are there any quirky things that you do to make your projects more fun? I wouldn't say that I do anything quirky, but some fun things that I do when I'm writing are just like trying to get into the mind of my characters. So if that's taking personality quizzes as my characters, I did the 16 personalities for my characters because it's just fun to kind of put them in a situation and think about how they would react. It allows me to get to know my characters better, and therefore I can write my characters better. I also made a Pinterest board full of like inspiration and like a lot of visuals for my world so that I can kind of visualize and be more immersed in the world that I'm trying to build. I'm writing a medieval fantasy novel, and so I have a Pinterest board called Medieval Aesthetic, and it's the best thing because I've just pinned a bunch of stuff, and then on my feed there's just a bunch of like swords and like things like that, and if you follow me you actually kind of get a residual of all that. And so my friend actually was like, why am I getting these like pins of these swords? And I'm like, oh, That's my fault. Another thing, I guess you could call this quirky, is that I talk to my characters like I would like insert myself in a conversation with said character and kind of see where that conversation would go. Is that weird? Do you work on multiple projects at a time? Yeah, I think I said this before. I have a lot of works in progress and I kind of just jump from project to project. Ultimately, when I'm doing like Nanowrimo or something like that, I am dedicated to one project, but that doesn't mean I don't come up with other ideas in the process. I just don't invest more time into those projects. So I guess that means I work on multiple, but I focus on one and then I have like ideas for others. How often do you research what you're writing? All the time. Everything that I write involves research, and more often than not it starts with like a Wikipedia page and then just spirals and just goes way out of hand. I just end up in some weird part of the internet researching weird things, and I know that it's a joke that looking into a writer's Google search history would make them seem like murderers. Yeah. How do you organize your projects? I don't really have an organization system for it. I just kind of keep every doc that I type in the same folder, I guess. And I do have notes written everywhere, so it's not organized at all, but I try to kind of have everything on like Google Drive so that I always have access to it. So even if I hand wrote stuff, I end up typing it so that I have a digital copy in the event that maybe there's a fire or I leave my notebook somewhere or someone steals it. I will always have it online. Although I do have this weird fear, I don't think this is weird at all, but if I write in a notebook and then somebody steals it, takes my idea, develops it, and then publishes my story before I can even finish my own first draft. Do you have that fear? Because I do, and it's so scary to think that everything, all this time you spent coming up with this world and these characters, that it may already exist. No idea is ever original, and I understand that, but like if someone were to steal it, or like if there's a book with the title that you came up with, like that's why I don't want to talk too much about exactly what my novel is and like my character names and stuff like that, because I don't want someone to steal it, and that would just make me so sad and upset, and like things would have to change. And then, do you reward or punish yourself for meeting your writing goals or not meeting your writing goals? I don't really think about rewarding myself or punishing myself. When I meet my goal, I feel excited and that's a reward enough, and when I don't meet my goal, I'm a little disappointed in myself, but I think that it's okay and I'll just like make up for it. There isn't really any kind of reward system that I've put into place for myself. I just think I have the mentality of treat yourself, which is just in terms of everything in your life. If you feel really good, then you deserve to have something that makes you feel really good. I don't really believe in punishment. I don't like that, because I already have enough like fear and insecurity that rules over me in terms of my writing that I don't need to have something else. I don't really do either of those things. I just kind of bask in the feelings of whatever I'm feeling. So if you're proud of yourself for meeting your everyday goal or your long-term goal or anything, then go by all means treat yourself, because you really do deserve it. And if you don't meet those goals, don't punish yourself for it. Like, don't dwell in that negativity. Like, definitely just think it's fine, it's okay, and don't say you don't deserve this or that just because you didn't meet your goal. Like, that's not a good way to think about things, in my opinion. I was like, you know, think about the positive stuff. Like, you tried, and that's really all that matters, is that you tried. And you should treat yourself for that too, because it's difficult and it's hard, and you decided to do it anyway, and that is admirable in my book. Are there any works that are similar to your project that you use for inspiration and or for comparison? So I definitely mentioned it before in my AuthorTube video that I'm very much inspired by Avatar: The Last Airbender, and this novel that I'm working on definitely draws a lot of inspiration from there. It also draws inspiration from like Arthurian legend, which I absolutely love because it's medieval fantasy. It's got that kind of chosen one trope. Like, I definitely got inspired by like Excalibur and things like that. So I definitely take inspiration from like those places, and then definitely a lot more because there's just so much. I don't really compare my work to other people's work because I don't really want to compare myself to other people, like, because this is my work and like this is my story that I want to share. I don't want to compare that to somebody else's work who definitely worked just as hard and was invested with their work. Like, it's something else. It's theirs and this is mine, and yeah, that's it. So there were actually a couple questions that didn't really apply to me because I haven't finished a draft yet, so I'm just gonna like take those questions out of this video. So those are all the questions. This has actually helped me kind of figure out more about myself and my writing process, because I guess I never really thought about it like that. I kind of just did it, and it's kind of nice to say it out loud. So this is a tag, and so I'm tagging all of you to do this. If you are a writer, I would really love to hear about your writing process. If you haven't seen my AuthorTube newbie tag video, then definitely check that out. I will leave a link in the description below. Make sure that you follow me on my various social medias. If you like this video, then give it a like, and if you want to see more of my stuff, then hit subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next week. Bye!